So we'll talk a little bit about ArcGIS Hub. So it's used a lot for open data portals. So if you go to Township of Langley Open Data, possibly even Burnaby Open Data, if you want to check some out, you'll notice if you go to those two separate sites, you'll go, hey, those interfaces look the same and that sort of thing. It's probably because they're using the ArcGIS Hub. The big thing, it does a lot. The main thing, I guess, is to let people, the concept is you would have a spatial data warehouse and you want to make that data available to people so they're not always phoning you or emailing you a copy of it. So you just put it out online and they can search through it and grab, fill their boots kind of concept. So although it is an open data portal and that is its focus, so a big thing there would be filling in metadata on data sets so that it's searchable. In that, but as for searching for data sets, you can download in different formats. It's up to you, I guess, what you allow. Common ones would be shape files, file geodatabases. I've seen that. City of Surrey does a little bit of CAD for their clients, like Autodesk format. Have I seen any other? You might be able to get stuff as KML as well in that, but it'll depend on how that person's configured that server and what they want to support in that. But if you actually look at the documentation for ArcGIS Hub, you're going to find it has a lot of pieces of ArcGIS Line, which we'll talk about in future slides. So it has a lot of data vises, which means, dashboards and that type of concept. How do you, maps, of course, but different ways of looking at the data. It's got some canned apps so that you can kind of work with the existing data. I think that what this would be there'd be some pre-configured apps that just, work with your data, and you would just like turn them on and let people use them and that sort of thing. So we call them ready to use. We used to call them meals ready to eat, MREs. When I was at the province, we'd have data ready to go, apps ready to go, that kind of stuff. So what you'll notice is this is a lot of the technology that ESRI has already. So for surveys would tie into Survey 123. Crowdsourcing, there's lots of app templates in ArcGIS Online that allow you to do crowdsourcing. So it'll probably draw from it will support a subset of the whole set that ArcGIS Online has in that. Dashboards, again, probably the latest dashboard from ESRI, that sort of stuff. The Place Explorer, so this would be like, it'd be like a map viewer app with a few more, widgets or controls to let people search different ways and have, different like pop-ups and that sort of thing on different layers. But when I look at ArcGIS on Hub, when you the first part, like searching for data sets, that's a little different. That's a lot of work on metadata to get the key values in there, to get good abstracts and descriptions on your data sets, give your data sets really good names, all that kind of stuff. The other part, when I look at it, just because I'm familiar with ArcGIS Online and the portal, looks like a subset of the apps that exist in portal or ArcGIS Online, right? So they would, like, surveys wouldn't be reinventing Survey 123. They would just be using that existing architecture and working off of that. Oh, stories and infographics. So again, stories would be like My Stories, but again, it's all leveraging this existing technology that they have in ArcGIS Online and other areas, but arranging it in the concept of an open data portal. So that you have like a piece of software you can install and just link your data in and have all these tools available for your clients or citizens or whatever type of agency that you are. So I'll talk about the Big Daddy ArcGIS Online portal. I put them together. And the question might be why? Why are they together? So AGO is ArcGIS Online and that sort of thing. And the portal is ArcGIS Online in your servers. So you can say, look, we love the technology, we love the capabilities, but because of data sensitivity issues or security issues, we just got to run it back on our servers behind the firewall. And so they let you do that. They say, hey, look, you paid lots of money. Just install the software on your own machines, because then it's a VM that they don't have to host on Amazon Elastic Cloud. It's a thing they don't have to manage and track credits and users on. You just have your own little AGO site for your company in there. So things you can make, there's a ton, just so much stuff. You can make web apps, low code or no code. So there's templates you can use in that. We're going to get more into that in future slides. Mobile apps, low code or no code. Typically you can get, if you're an ArcGIS Online, depending on your agency, you might be licensed to use App Studio. And so you can use that product to make mobile apps. These are different. These are not necessarily web-friendly mobile apps, right? They are a mobile app where you would get like an APK file on Android and actually install it like you were installing something from the store, the Google Play Store or the Apple Store, depending what device you have. You can create features. They have feature templates, and you can also just build a feature. Hey, I want a point layer with these columns, with these domains, these ranges kind of concept. So they have templates or blank, like I said, points, line, polygons. You can also do a mixed bag. And then you can also, like I said, define the extra columns on there in that. Different user types as well in the portal. Some people can just view. Some people can, they can make are stories. They can't make anything else kind of concept, right? But groups as well. In these systems, that you can make a group and say this group's allowed to look at these maps, and this other group can look at these other maps, and everyone can look at this set of maps over here, or whatever maps, apps, whatever it is that you're making. Now, this is there's lots of ways to create stuff in ArcGIS Online, and I think in the QML Qt runtime for ArcGIS, portal item has like, I don't know, 170. It's a lot. It's almost like 200 different types of things you can run into in ArcGIS Online. In that, so they have things called. This is when you're in ArcGIS Online and you go to your Content tab and you go Create. You hit the Create button, and so this is a big list that pops up. Instant apps. Okay, they are like the old configurable app templates, but they are Experience Builder based. That's what the EXP stands for, Experience Builder. There's Web App Builder, WAB, in that as well. Story maps, but this is the second generation of story maps. The technology on the current story maps borrows heavily from Experience Builder. Dashboards, but they're on their third generation right now. Sites, I haven't played much with sites myself. Experience Builder itself, like they always say this. Experience Builder is not replacing Web App Builder, it's just the next generation. So it's basically replacing it, is what, if I translate and that sort of thing. But it's the new Experience Builder is the new Web App Builder in that. So if you're able to make that decision, hey, I'm building an app, where should I start? Then definitely start with stuff that is Experience Builder based. Instant apps, Experience Builder, the new story maps, that sort of thing. They have a whole other product called Urban, GeoBIM in that as well. Now this is just, like I said, you're in ArcGIS Online, you log in, you click on your Content tab, you go down, there's two buttons there, one called Item and one called Create. When you go Create, these are the apps you see. Typically, I think they can stand alone as a web app. So when you build it, you're building the web interface. There's another series of apps that you can make, but usually they have a companion app that you can download on your phone. So you're kind of building the web back end for a mobile app sometimes, okay? In that. So again, if you're in ArcGIS Online, you log in, you click on your Content tab, you go down to some buttons near the top there. One says Item, one says Create. When you go Create, these are the things you can create. But you're in a web interface, so these are possibly desktop, tablet, maybe mobile, but they are web mobile apps, right? In that. They are web apps in that. And they're meant to be standalone apps that you can deploy for your end users. Okay. Configurable apps are Web App Builder, but they're getting kind of phased out. And they say that. That's why it's on the bottom of the list, by the way. They put it way at the bottom of the list, and you got to scroll for it to see it sometimes, because they really want you using instant apps up top. Okay, the configurable apps are going away, but it doesn't mean that, okay, the boss wants this particular configurable app, so we're going to have to pull it out of the Web App Builder area and make it there. Okay, so there are a bunch of configurable apps now. When you're in Experience Builder, not the instant apps, but the this one down here, Experience Builder, there is a section where they have templates, and so they have a lot of the stuff that has a similar look and feel as the Web App Builder templates. Okay, so my advice is, if you can, make a choice, right, between WAB and EXP. Pick anything with EXP. Okay, it's the more modern React Strap based technology and that. and you never know when these are going to be phased out. Right. More apps. So when you're in ArcGIS Online, at the top of your screen, if you go over where your profile avatar is, you'll see like the classic, like 9 dots, like a 3x3 matrix, which is like the app button on your phone or on Android and that. And so there's a whole slew of other apps. There's some overlap with the existing category. So what it is you're going to find, it's not, I wouldn't say it's 100% trend. Like you're going to see all the web app ones in here, but the ones that are showing up that don't show up on the other side seem to have a companion mobile app to go with it. Okay, so there's a ton. App Studio, right? So from there, this is the 3x3 little square matrix thing that you can click on. Looks like the all apps icon on Apple and Android. In there, you'll see something called App Studio. That's for building mobile apps. You'll see business analysts, community analysts, developers, GeoPlanner, Insights. Now, Insights is kind of web-based. Living Atlas, Marketplace. But hidden in there are older technologies like Dashboards Classic. That was second generation dashboards from Esri. Right. It used to be called the Operations Dashboard, but it only ran on Windows. And then the first migration to the web, and now we're on the second generation already. Story maps are like the ones before. Survey 1, 2, 3. Why is it off here on the side? Why isn't it on the other side? Well, 2 reasons. They have a whole other site, a web interface for building the surveys. Plus, there's usually a mobile app that you download on your phone to take the survey. So like I said, there's like a little companion app. Workforce has a little companion app for your phone. ArcGIS Online Field Maps has an app you go get from the App Store. Dashboards are the current dashboards, 3rd gen that we're using. Experience Builder to build your own. Hub, what we talked about before, 2 slides back. Map Viewer. Quick Capture has a companion mobile app. And so when you go Quick Capture here, you actually go to a website to set up the back end for that mobile app. Right? Solutions, Urban, we mentioned before, Power BI, GeoBM was on the list before, Instance Apps was on the before. Map Viewer Classic is the old version of the Map Viewer. And that the new Map Viewer has a completely different interface, has some new capabilities that aren't around. A simple thing is like a bookmarks. Bookmarks on the Map Viewer Classic don't have thumbnails, but the new ones do. But a lot of the new templates are expecting a thumbnail. You'd be surprised when you start using them. Scene Viewer is again, you can access that typically through the top tab where content is. You'll see content, map, scene at the top. Field Maps, early access. This would be the next version of, they're already on the next version of Field Maps. It's only been out for a couple of years and stuff like that. So this stuff's always rolling and always changing. So one thing to talk about is the Ego web map. So this is a little bit different. Like when you go to the JavaScript API and you go in there and you'll see a class called map, and you might think, well, that's the map. No, the web map is more in that. So the Ego web map, right? So there is such a thing, right? It has its own specification. I am not lying, okay? So should we click here? I'm gonna click here, we'll see, and that sort of thing. This is the web map specification. So it's almost like the web map in the ArcGIS JavaScript API, except that's like one object inside this web map. There are a ton of objects, okay? It is a beast. It's got so much stuff in there. And so we'll jump back in. That is the specification. It's got lots on symbology. It's got lots on features. It's got lots on operational layers. It's got a whole bunch on forms, info, because the smart forms that Field Maps use are in this web API and that sort of thing. So can we go full screen? Is it? Well, we'll see here, right? So this is the map you make in Ego in that. And so maybe would it be worth it to quickly bring over Ego? So I quickly brought over Ego, and this top line, like when you go here, map, make a map, what are you making? You're making an Ego web map, right? And it can have, and this is the new interface. You might see some screenshots in other places where you see the old interface. This is the new map viewer, and so slightly different in that, but most the same functionality, usually more they add on, like group layers and things like that. Oh, and effects, layer effects. We had some fun with layer effects. It actually blew up a bunch of stuff on the mobile side. in that. I want to see if I can just go full screen here. So that's the thing we're talking about. That map you make in Ego, okay? And it's a much bigger thing than I realized. So I just want to make you aware of that. So it has a whole bunch of things. It has smart forms embedded for your operational layers inside. A whole bunch of stuff about pop-ups. A whole bunch of stuff about arcade expressions. Your regular map is just usually a container for layers. This thing, when you run into it, has way more stuff in it. Just so you know, in that. And so this is a really good description by myself here. Food for apps. Most of the apps that you make in Web App Builder, Experience Builder, and that they start off by, okay, what map do you want, to be part of this application? So usually get your data loaded, get your maps made in Ego, and then start building your apps, right? Because usually the first couple of things within the first couple of steps, you got to go through all the listing of all your maps that are available to you and pick one as the map for the app. In that, so key objects, base maps, bookmarks, right? I'm amazed that bookmarks seem to be a big thing. There's a lot of stuff, technology and GUIs written around it, and the new ones do look better. But there's lots of templates in Experience Builder where you can slide the bookmarks in, and it's like a gallery tab on the bottom. There's lots of ways to do it, but it's a key component of a lot of these templates that you use in Experience Builder and Web App Builder. And that operational layers, we talked about these before. The big thing about operational layers is usually your vector layer that's on top of your base map. The base map is more about locating yourself. The operational layer is the layer you want to work on or work with. It's usually vector, point line polygon, has attributes and that sort of thing. It's off. Sometimes these operational layers are used to feed charts and gauges and dashboards. And that drawing info is if you're going to be doing some editing. How do you, like, say you have a polygon layer, but the drawing info is you get them to draw rectangles or boxes or something, or ellipses or circles in that, versus click the dot geometry, bang a polygon in, right? So that's why I bring up drawing info, but it's more of an editing thing where you'll run into that. There's lots of objects, but these are some big ones. Form info, that's the smart forms that Field Maps uses, but they're actually stored in the web map in that. Geo triggers, so that ties into the real-time event processor. So usually it means you're tracking something, and you're tracking whether it some people call it a geofence in that. So you're tracking a truck, so it's a point on the screen. Did it cross into a particular area, polygon, and when did it come out of that area? That kind of stuff. That's one type of trigger. There's lots of other triggers in that. Lots about symbology, right? Fields, and that spatial references are important. If you're trying to overlay other data, you need to know what your base map is in that. There's a lot of crossover with the ArcGIS API because it's technically used to build this web map. It's just that you should be aware there is something called map in the JavaScript, ArcGIS JavaScript API. But when you bump into one of these, web map, right? It means that thing in ArcGIS Online, and it's usually bigger and possibly jam-packed full of data that you might want. A big thing I will add to this list, right, that's not on here right now, pop-ups. Okay, pop-ups is another big thing of how you display certain layers with other controls. Like if you're doing attachments and those types of things, you can set up rules on how those get displayed, what columns you see in that. So what we'll talk about next are, within ArcGIS Online, the app builders.